Are you ready to say goodbye to the constant ups and downs of the artist income roller coaster? Whether you're a full-time artist who wants to increase and stabilize your income, a part-time musician who wants to go full-time, or a hobbyist who needs to fund your passion projects, this podcast will equip you with the tools, resources, and inspiration to make it happen. My name is Bree Noble. I'm a musician, best-selling author, and educator whose mission is to help musicians like you to increase the income you're already making and tap into new income streams so you can create a more diverse, stable, reliable income from music and finally ditch the starving artist mentality. Now let's dive into the Profitable Musician Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the podcast. My name is Bree Noble, and I am here today with a duo. I have both Channing and Makenzie from EVA, and we're going to talk about corporate bookings and private bookings. And this is a subject I love to talk about because it really is a way that artists can make good money. So let's get into that. But before we do, I want them to give their background, how they got involved in the music industry, and how they ended up here creating this tool that's going to help you guys connect with more booking.
Great. So yes, my name is Makenzie Stokel. I'm based in Austin, Texas, and Channing and I started EVA about 10 years ago now in Nashville, Tennessee, where she is currently based. And my background and kind of what I oversee at EVA is the marketing side, the product side, working a lot with specific artists and users about feedback of the platform, as well as dealing with a lot of events that happen in the Texas region. We're about to be in all 4 major cities in Texas, so lots going on in this large state. But really our background since we started this business in college, it's pretty short. We haven't done too much else outside in our professional career. This has really been the start and hopefully continues on for a while.
Yes, like Makenzie said, my name is Channing Moreland, co-founder with Makenzie at EVA. I'm based in Nashville, and yes, we started building together well over 10 years ago while we were in college. And what I now focus on mostly at EVA is more of the business development, sales, and partnership side. So really growing the opportunities that we can bring to the artists for those paid corporate events. So excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
Got it. That's awesome. Yeah, you guys are really covering some of the biggest music locations with being in Texas, Austin, and Nashville, which is cool because you're, kind of boots on the ground in those areas. So let's talk about the opportunity, because I think what you guys are creating is awesome and it's going to be super helpful to artists. But in order for them to really buy in of like, I really need to look into this, they need to know why corporate events, private events are something that they should focus on. Maybe there are artists that have mostly just, played in local bars, restaurants, that kind of thing, traditional music venues. How has this opened up more opportunities for artists that you see?
Yeah, I would say the biggest factor for why corporate and private event bookings are beneficial to artists is the budget. Certainly an up and coming artist who's just getting started in their career playing at bars and venues in their city can make, maybe some of the door, maybe they're making tips, eventually, getting ticket sales. But corporate events can pay 4 to 5 times as much as some of those events will early on. And that's just because companies will have a budget that they set aside for these specific events for their entertainment. So it is a really great way to get paid and fund other areas of your artist career, whether it's going on tour or recording an album. So that's definitely, I think, the biggest factor of why it's worth looking into. But it's also a lot of times they're very easy events. They're shorter. They're usually on weeknights. So it's kind of like a great place to fill in those maybe empty dates along a tour or on nights that might not be as busy at other venues that want to book music.
I love that idea because I tried to do that too when I toured. It's like, oh, there's a female entrepreneur, gathering on Monday night. Like that's a great thing to fill in when all your other things are on weekends. So I think that's a really good thing to highlight. And so I'm curious, like, what are they looking for when they're booking entertainment? Because I know when I was performing, I also had like a speaking presentation that involved music. So are there those kind of things, like a keynote concert kind of thing that they're looking for, as well as just like we want music for dancing, or we want music as a background for our, happy hour section of this event?
I love that you bring that up because it's been cool to see how we and Eva have evolved into offering these needs as the clients kind of bring what they're asking. And so Mackenzie and I's expertise was in music. And so that was kind of the core offering we started with at the beginning. But just like you said, Bree, we started getting asked for, well, could a artist also do a keynote, or could they do a moderated discussion, or if you have varying other kinds of offerings. And so it's been really cool to see over the years how the company's evolved. So now we're building and booking keynote speakers, interactive experiences, music, but we have a section now on an entertainer's profile where they can set all the kinds of offerings they have. So if you have that moderated discussion or that keynote in addition to your performance, you can put it there. And it's really cool to see how there's so many other ways for this artist to make money in different formats, rather than just playing, although we get, of course, asked for that all the time.
Right. That's cool. And so, like, what are the corporate event people looking to get out of this? Is it usually they want to, inspire, or is it that they just need background music and they want it to be a little more interesting than just, playing music in the background, or like it's all over the board?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would say most of what we're seeing, we work with a lot of conferences and like large scale groups. And so it's a variety of what they're looking for. They need that kickoff reception, that closing ceremony, registration entertainment. They need the general session, the keynote, the headliner. And so we can really help support in a variety of those things. But yeah, typically they want to add some inspiration. They want to add authenticity to the event. They want to add creativity. So they're coming to us to really bring curated, vetted options for them. But then there are, of course, those times where it's like, hey, we really just want to elevate the event, and really great background music would be better than a playlist over a speaker.
And are they ever looking for DJs as well?
Definitely, yes. DJs, solo artists, duo, trio, full band, and everything in between too. We've started booking entertainment outside of music as well, but music is definitely our kind of passion and why we started. So any genre, any band setup, they have been booked through EVA.
Got it. And so when you mentioned budget, and what does that look like? And is also like travel included? Are you only looking at people who are local? Are there ways to, like, add in things, or if they have more players than just, I'm assuming you have to have like a lot of options.
Yeah, so a lot of our clients are interested in local entertainment. Many of our clients are traveling to that destination and want local vendors, local entertainment. Even the theme of their event sometimes is Nashville or Austin. It's kind of that whatever they find is that city's unique points they do want to highlight. So that is something they usually look for. However, it's not always the case. Certainly, we have flown in entertainers or can deal with travel as well. The artist can just quote whatever they want to include for travel. It's all up to them for kind of like what price point they want when they submit an event on our platform.
Got it. And how does the negotiation work? Because I think that's where artists get a little tripped up sometimes. Like, number one, they don't know what to charge. Like, so do you have kind of a boilerplate that they can choose, if you have this many people and you're going to be this long? And because, we can level up as we get better and we have more things under our belt. But I think an artist that's just starting in this area is like, I don't know what to charge. Like, I don't want to overcharge and I don't want to undercharge.
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle. We always say that corporate event planners and artists really don't speak the same language.
Yeah.
They're not really like coming at this from the same position. So we really like to be in the middle and help. So the event planner will say what their budget is. They're saying this is like what I'm looking to spend. So the entertainer already kind of has an idea of if they're going to be within that. So then they can quote based off of that budget and based off of all of the parameters, how long it is, if they have to bring sound, if there is any travel involved. But yeah, we try to make it really easy for the artist to quote and come up with a price because it is really challenging when you're
I
just
think
getting.
that really takes the pressure off the artist because when the artist is booking directly, we don't know the budget, right? And so then we don't want to, we try to ask, but then like, it's just so much better to like, okay, here's the number. Am I willing to do it for this or not? And then there may be some negotiation around it, but it's like, is this even in my ballpark?
Yeah, exactly. We get things done a lot quicker. Like let's just put it out there, be honest, and move things along to where we're not everybody's in the dark for multiple emails back and forth. So starting with the budget is definitely a core part of the experience for users.
Right. And then, so the people that are booking, do they generally know exactly what they want, or are they more like, I'm trying to create this kind of mood? Maybe they don't know if they want a pianist or a solo guitar player or a string quartet or whatever or most of them, they know exactly what they want.
That is a great question. Most of the time, they don't know what they want.
Oh,
But
interesting.
I'll quickly say that we work with really two types of buyer personas, if you will. We work with professional event planners who are booking on behalf of their client in corporate. They know exactly what they're trying to go and sell, and they are coming to us for, the best of the best or different ideas, or they're throwing crazy ideas at us and we're like trying to come up with things that are going to fit within that theme. But they typically have a good idea of, "Hey, these are the items of entertainment or the acts I'm trying to book." But on the flip side, if we're working directly with a brand, that's typically someone that's just been tasked to put on this event that doesn't have, like, that's not their job. It happens so
Right.
much. And so I think that's where we can really support those kinds of corporate buyers, and that's what helps with the platform, is how we've kind of flipped the model where they're submitting their details based on what they know the event is. And then we are bringing them real-time offers back from entertainers that meet those requirements. So we find that it really helps both sides just kind of eliminate a lot of the back and forth and confusion.
Yeah, you really are solving a problem because I remember dealing with people that were tasked to create an event, whether it was a lot of like nonprofits where it's like, okay, we have this
Mhm.
board of volunteers. We need this fundraising event. We need it to be like this. And these people, they have no experience. They've never
Yes.
booked an event or whatever,
Yeah.
And so just having that help on their end, I'm sure they appreciate it so much. But then with the artists as well, like they're not necessarily very good at the negotiation and they don't have a sense of the budgets and stuff. So I can really see how you're solving a problem on both sides here. So we talked a lot about corporate. Are private events also in here? Like, do you get, big, I don't know, weddings or something in here?
Yeah, we certainly have and can book for weddings, bar mitzvahs, like any kind of private party where somebody wants to pay for entertainment. We definitely have done that and will continue to do it. It's the same experience for
Mhm.
the person creating that event and engaging with artists. We're not necessarily marketing to those types of folks because it's not recurring events. We definitely want to work
Ah.
with a lot of corporate planners who are doing multiple events a year or even a month. So that's where we're spending marketing dollars on trying to attract those folks. But we absolutely can service weddings, private parties, anything where you would want to book entertainment as well.
Yeah, that makes sense that you're building relationships with people that are going to be coming back to you year after year. And that's only helpful to the musicians because then you've got a core group of people that need them. So I think that's really
Yeah.
smart.
Well, and like you said earlier, a lot of people who may not know exactly what they're doing on events, even the professional event planners who know events might not know music. So
Mm.
there's even another layer of education that we will work with our clients on to kind of talk through sound. What kind of
Oh,
PA do we need? Like
bless
that's
you. I have been at conferences where it's like they like have not thought this through. And I'm flown in and I'm like, "Okay, do you have a keyboard?" "Oh, no, we don't have a keyboard." "Okay. How do if I need to use tracks, then how do I plug this in?" "Well, I don't know. Like maybe if you go up on the stage, you can find like a little plug to stick into your phone." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Like,
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a lot for sure. So that, I mean, even if you're like I said, the highest end event planner who knows maybe catering and travel and all of the logistics the sound aspect of music is just a whole nother layer that we really do try to help on because it's a lot.
Yeah, and they don't think it through. They just think, okay, I hire these people, they'll bring their own gear. But it's like, okay, I'll bring my instrument, but I still have to have something to plug it into. I'm not going to fly, my PA with me and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure that's really helpful to them to give them that guidance because they don't know music. And I think as musicians, we kind of take that for granted. Like they should realize these things, but they
Well, and
don't oftentimes.
every room is different.
Yep.
If it's outside, it's going to sound different. If like, every kind of connection that they're going to need to make does vary every time. So it is just another layer that like needs to be discussed before booking.
Exactly. So what's the protocol? Let's say that it's a musician who's an indie artist. They do record and perform their own songs, but in this case, maybe they're doing some covers because that's what the people want. Is there any opportunity for them to, as a musician, to promote themselves as a musician? Or are they just like, I am a hired gun and I am only for this and like I'm not like letting anyone know about my artist self?
That it's a great question because I think some of the history of corporate events or the previous vibe early on is that like, oh, you're having to kind of sell your soul as an artist to do these corporate events. You're only doing these covers, you're a cover band. And while there's still a big need still for that kind of that party band or that wedding band, what's been really cool to see in the kind of just change in the corporate environment is people are wanting the events to feel as authentic as possible. Like Makenzie said, if an event is going to be Austin themed or Nashville themed for people coming in, like they want to book artists that really are from that city and kind of breathe that culture. And so what's been really cool is on the platform, we have the ability of if you're willing to do some covers, no covers, or all covers. And so if people really do want to just focus on their original music, they absolutely can. And they'll get booked for sets where the buyer wants that. And we do work with a lot of brands who they want to empower the artist. They want to have them there, doing what they do. So we see a nice blend of that. So there's absolutely that opportunity where that artist they're not that hired gun. They're able to be themselves, their brand on our profile and can really gain some additional fans, I think, that way too.
I like that. And I think there's definitely a place for that. Like if I'm going to like a winery or something, like I want to hear, like if it's a singer-songwriter, I want to hear their stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I'm at a conference and they're just trying to hype me up, it might be more about covers. So it makes sense that there are probably time and place for all those things. What about the
Totally.
artist's ability at these events to connect with potential fans? Like, is there any opportunity for them to like put up a QR code or get people on their email list or something? Because I'm so big on this because it's like you have this one opportunity to be in front of these people and you want to make sure that sticks and they come along with you for the future.
Yeah, I will say it varies by event. Some clients are like, we're gonna pay you a lot of money to not put
Right.
anything out and not even like have a sign or any of your branding because our branding is so specific and we've posted it everywhere and have a vision. That is one end of the spectrum, all the way to yeah, it could certainly work for some venues and some of our clients. So that's just another thing that we'll kind of make sure everyone is in agreement on before. And I think it does have to do with the budget as well. If it's something that is a pretty high budget where they're getting paid like quite a bit of money, they probably wouldn't want them to ask for tips. Kind of just like higher end
Right.
budgets, probably not want to go for that, whereas different venues and different clients are open to it.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And it's just one of the discussion points, I'm sure. I think a lot of artists don't think to ask about it until they get there. And then and then it's uncomfortable. So I'm sure you guys take
Totally.
them through this whole like negotiation process of like what's okay and what's included and what's not and that kind of thing.
That's a great point. I think that's a big part of what we do and what we have the technology really there to advance all of these questions. It's a lot of that. Like you said, sound, we want to eliminate the confusion on site. And so that's the goal is to like work through all of those details so no one's having an issue or, any weird confusing feelings once you get there.
That's really great. So what about merch? I have heard of some artists who kind of like do a deal up front with the corporate company and like they actually buy their merch up front and give it away or so
Mhm.
are you experiencing that and are there ever points where they can offer their merch? I know for me when I did like nonprofit events I'd be like I'll do a merch table but I'm going to give 50% or
Proceeds.
whatever to the event.
Totally. So we have seen, kind of like Makenzie was saying in the previous question of like tips or signage, it depends on the event. But something that's been cool to see is that we, like, for example, as like a giveaway gift for a recent booking artist, we gave every single team member a signed vinyl from them and obviously purchased that from the artist. We've been doing it a lot with authors with books, just to have that kind of giveaway. But from a music side merch, traditionally, if they're kind of just background music or they're playing as a piece of the event, typically we see with the corporate events that we're doing, merch tables aren't something that they're doing. But I could see in the future, like they love the giveaways, they love like creating kind of that memento to remember the experience by. So I could definitely see that happening more in the future.
I love that. Yeah, yeah, and it's just it's every event is different.
Exactly.
So since mostly the people that are listening and watching are artists, um, just give them a sense of like how this works. Like if they were to sign up with EVA, what is their experience like? How have you seen like how soon they are actually able to book? And are all they actually I didn't even ask, are they booking only in the areas that you guys are in? Because she was saying, the four major markets in Texas, like are there only certain cities that are open for this right now?
Yes, great question. So we are launched in 8 cities now, but we have booked pretty much everywhere in the US.
Hmm.
That's just where we know we have a solid roster of entertainment that we can, someone can their process of booking can be fully automated because we've got options. Cities that we're not technically launched in, that's where maybe travel is involved, or maybe we don't have quite as many local artists onboarded yet, but it's still totally possible to book things in those cities. And we're growing pretty fast. So hopefully, we will at least be in every region here by the end of the year, where people might, need to travel a little bit, but not too far. So, so finding people in different cities that we make that part pretty easy. And then I'm sorry, I forget the first part of your
Well,
question.
how did you actually, I'm curious, how did you get kind of to that amount of artists where you felt like you were ready to launch in that city? Did you go out and hand pick some artists to get on the roster first?
Yes, exactly. So in Nashville as our first market, we went to a music school. So that's really where we started, was our friends who were up and coming singers and songwriters and in bands. And that's where we just asked them to join, really. Very boots on the ground, organic growth. And did that for years, honestly. I mean, we really didn't do any real marketing for a long time for artists. It was very word of mouth or us actually still just going to their shows, talking to them, reaching out to them. We still do that too. That's still a
Hmm.
big part of our artist growth side is kind of connecting with them directly. So now when we kind of pick a new market to launch in, it is led by more of the demand side, like where our clients are, where our partners are, where big events are happening, but we always kind of do find the good local entertainment to connect to.
Got it. How do you find your clients? How do you connect with these event coordinators and corporate sponsor events?
It was a very similar approach. Back then it was really just connecting directly with these corporate event planners, building relationships with them and their companies. They would have offices in multiple cities, so we would kind of go and get introduced to the sister cities. A lot of word of mouth and referral. And then as we've grown, we've been able to bring on more of a sales team that has expertise in corporate events, which has really helped us better understand the best ways to target those groups. And now, marketing, finally really trying to be where they are at conferences and events. So a blend of how we're acquiring them now, but it started very the same, boots on the ground and very grassroots.
Got it. Does EVA, does that stand for anything, or is that just a name that you guys?
It does. So the goal for Makenzie and I was we knew that this had been traditionally a very relationship, hand-holding, kind of elusive industry. And we knew we were going to bring technology, but our core value is technology with heart. And we wanted there to always feel like there was that personified human element to it. And so we wanted it to be a strong female name. So Eva just felt really like strong. But then at the very beginning, it meant to us events, venues, and artists. So there was a fun acronym, but also
I was
yeah,
going, okay, entertainment. Like I was trying to figure out what it stood for. That makes
yes.
sense. Events, venues, and artists. I love that. And I love that you kind of personified it because then it brings the heart in, it brings the soul in of it not just being this marketplace where people, exchange digital information, right? Because you guys are there helping with the negotiation. And I think that that's really what has been needed in this. I mean, let's see, I started doing events back in 2006. And there's nothing like this. It was like, okay, let me see if I could find some people on MySpace that are, planning events or something. It's just like there was
Yeah.
no good centralized way to connect with these people, and the same on the other side. Like anyone that was tasked with doing an event, like if you don't know a musician, like where the heck do you find one? If you're not in the music industry, you don't even know anyone that's a musician, like where do you even start? So I think this is really, really, really helpful. What I did ask before is like, what is the experience like for an artist that wants to sign up with Eva?
Yes. So they would create a profile. They'll give their photos, videos, links to all of their socials, website, any type of content that will help pitch themselves. They can also put in testimonials. They can even, if they're really just getting started and they would like to compare their music to a bigger, more well-known artist, they can do that. So people, if someone's like, I'm looking for a Billy Joel, they can kind of say that so they can be found easily that way. And then they will have a bio, pretty much just everything that they can use to pitch themselves. Video is super important, probably the most important aspect. And so we really do encourage artists to upload live performance content, not necessarily like a music video or pre-recorded music, just so people can get a really good idea of that live sound. And then once their profile is approved, they can start seeing events all over that they would be interested in, that they would be a good match for. So we will match them to events either in their area, within the budget range they're looking for, and kind of by the sound or genre that they have tagged themselves as.
Got it. I mean, it works pretty similar to any other of these matchmaking kind of systems, which are so helpful. I think that's really, really great because again, like you're solving a major problem on both sides. So I appreciate that you guys have put in all the effort to do this because it really does solve a problem. What else do you think? Is there anything else that musicians need to know if they're thinking about signing up? First of all, how do they sign up? And how long does it usually take to see somebody to get kind of their first event?
So they can sign up at bookwitheva.com. And I would say it does vary based on the of music. Some things are just more popular than others and are getting requested more often. So, I mean, they're going to see events as soon as they are approved. They're going to start seeing those events that they can quote on. They'll be there immediately. And then they might get booked. I mean, I think we have seen people get booked within the first week for their first event. Maybe more average is 6 weeks to 2 months is kind of when they might see start getting bookings because a lot of that's kind of how long it takes our clients to decide, like before their event, if that makes sense.
Got it. And I've seen other sites that are similar to this that they do kind of like a tiering system or like a spot. Like you can say like you can pay a little bit extra and have your thing move to the top. Do you have something like that, or is it really just based entirely on the search criteria?
It's totally based on the search criteria. We don't have any paid opportunities or kind of like you get first access or page kind of access for entertainers. We may do that at some point, but at this point it's all kind of everyone has the same experience. It's totally fair for every single artist. They'll see the same things. They'll see it as soon as it is created. And so we're trying to make that as fair as possible. But we will certainly like promote certain artists, new artists. We might put them on the front page. We'll swap those out, promote them on our social media just to kind of keep that moving and grooving.
And is there a way, so let's say they have booked some things through EVA. Do you have an opportunity for them to put up like testimonials or like the past gigs that they've done?
Yes. So we do collect testimonials after the event from our clients so they can say exactly how their experience was. They can rate kind of different aspects of the artist that they booked, and that will go right on their profile so everyone else can kind of see how they've done and what people liked about them.
See, now you're offering another service to the artist because so many artists don't do this because it takes, afterthought to like go back to them and say and get a testimonial because you have to do that extra step and you have to reach out and, make sure that they actually do it and stuff. So I love that you have that built in because why not? Like it helps you guys as well as it helps the artist. So it's a win-win really.
Yeah, I think so.
That's very
Sometimes
cool.
not everyone always wants to give a testimonial like you're saying, but
Right.
we have it automated.
But
where
you
they
have a
can-
mechanism that asks for it, which I think is way better than nothing.
Totally.
Cool. Okay. Anything else you'd like to tell our listeners and people who are watching about EVA that we
Yeah,
didn't
I think
cover?
You've asked great questions. I don't think so.
Cool. Okay. So it's bookwitheva.com.
.com.
Got it. Got it. And do you guys have any social presence under the company?
Yes. So yes, you can find Book with Eva everywhere, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and then we're also online as well, just with our names.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing this great tool. Like I said, it really does solve a problem on both sides. So I so appreciate that you guys put in all the work to actually solve the problem. That's what business is about, in my opinion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Profitable Musician Show. I would love to know your takeaways and aha moments from this episode. Leave me a comment over at profitablemusician.com so I can bring you more of the information, interviews, and resources that you love. Thanks to Rondi Fay, one of my Academy members, for providing the music for our podcast. You can check her out at rondifay.com. That's RANDIFAY.com. Just remember, knowledge is power, but without implementation, it is useless. And inspiration without action is merely entertainment. But I know you're not just a dreamer, you are a doer. And I promise I'll be here every week to support you and remind you that you can be a profitable musician.